And I have done more in 3 years for the black community than Joe Biden has done in 47 years. And when I'm reelected, the best is yet to come.
That was President Trump during the final speech of the RNC. Now let's hear from both sides of the aisle to break down the hits and misses of the convention. Joining me now are Sinclair political commentator Amisha Cross and member of the President's National Security Education Board, host of America First on Salem Radio, and Sinclair media contributor Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Amisha, I'm going to start with you. President Trump claims to have done more for the black community in 3 years than Joe Biden's done in nearly 50 years in D.C. Your thoughts?
It's completely erroneous. It's a big lie. President Trump is known for being grandiose, but not having anything to back it up. As a veteran black person who was born one and will die one, I have done quite a bit of research and worked with national organizations like NAN, the National Action Network, like the National Urban League, like the NAACP. It frustrates me when they have worked through policies and have reached the president's desk and had those conversations with him, and he has denied it every single term. So to make the kind of comment that he did is quite frankly very offensive. One of the cornerstones of African-American progress when we talk about voting and having full inclusion in democracy is the Voting Rights Act. We've seen this president go out kicking and screaming, trying to make sure that that is not reauthorized.
Before I send it over to Sebastian, what has Joe Biden done for the black community?
Several things. Joe Biden has progressed a lot of housing accountability when it comes to one thing that we definitely know. Housing in African-American communities is consistently devalued versus housing in white communities. And even when black people live in those white communities, their houses are still devalued at a rate much different than their next door neighbors. And we've seen that when it comes to civil rights action and accountability, and when it comes to taking into account what we're talking about right now across this nation, police accountability and police brutality, we have seen Joe Biden step forward and step out front in a way that we see President Trump ignoring that it's even happening.
All right, Sebastian, ball is yours.
Hey, it's just not, I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny. Amisha just can't give you anything. Housing, really? In 47 years, don't make me laugh. Biden hasn't done anything except, you're going to interrupt me again, aren't you, Amisha?
Hold on, Amisha, let Sebastian go. Go ahead, Sebastian, make your points.
Joe Biden is the man who helped bring legislation in the 1990s that put more black males in prison since any time since emancipation. She can't point to one story like that grandmother that was released from prison and pardoned by President Trump as a black grandmother who received a life sentence plus 25 years. She can't point to anything like the First Step Act, and she can't point to those Black Housing Association presidents from New York who were in the RNC convention yesterday, who said for the first time in their lives, a president is helping them in New York to stop illegal aliens getting housing instead of black Americans. Amisha can't give you anything because there is nothing.
Amisha.
I can point to the several black families who have written letters openly to the state of New York and called on the governor as well, who are denied housing in Trump-owned properties. So we're not even going to go there because Trump has been consistently known as someone who is known for his race-based policies and housing. He even just tweeted, a few weeks ago, that tweet trying to appeal to white suburban moms so that he could get rid of low-income housing in mixed-income communities. This is a president who's using racist policies, race-based rhetoric that anyone who has a skin tone like me is not denying, because we've heard this before. Right. He is someone who uses a segregationist platform, and he is someone who is not a friendly or even collaborative member when it comes to taking care of and caring about the black community.
Right, Sebastian, I'll give it to you. I just want to clarify. I believe the tweet you're talking about, Amisha, he appealed to suburban moms. I'm not sure he qualified that with white suburban moms. So go ahead, Sebastian.
I'll just say one thing. Joe Biden, the old, white, senile Democrat candidate who's been in Washington, D.C. for 47 years, is on record. You could watch the video saying, I don't want busing. I don't want my children to grow up in racial jungles. He's a bigot and a racist, and you'll never find President Trump ever saying anything as racist as that.
Yeah, and Misha, let's talk about that. Do you not hold Joe Biden's actual words that Sebastian points out? Those are actual words that Biden has uttered in the past. Don't you hold? Is he not canceled? He's not up to being canceled like everyone else is for things they've said in the past?
No, because we hold people fully accountable in the context of what they say. I'm the only person on this panel who's ever actually worked in educational leadership. What I do know is that busing was a bad policy. I think that what Joe Biden needs to do in that conversation is dig into why busing was such a bad policy and how it actually did not serve to integrate schools, how it actually helped to eradicate a lot of our public schools of Black teachers, and how we never actually got those Black teachers back in the classroom, and why today 8 in 10 school teachers in America's public schools are white females when over 80% of our public school children are children of color. So if he really wanted to dig in, there are ways to do it, and there are ways that he could have expressed what he was trying to get to without it being turned into this soundbite that has been taken contextually so far outside of the realm of understanding for people who honestly do not have the background in education to understand what he meant.
I got about a minute or so, Sebastian. It's yours. Take it where you want. But again, it seems so hypocritical when the left ignores some of the past grievances with Joe Biden. But anyone else on the right, boy, they're escorted out. Final word.
I'm just so impressed the lengths to which a Black woman will go to defend a racist. He said, I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle. I don't need special education, Amisha, to know what that means. I don't need special educational experience to know what it means when Joe Biden says, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't Black. That's a bigot, that's a racist attitude, and that's the Democrat Party.
We're going to leave it there, Misha. I would love to give you a final word on that one, but we can't. We don't have time. But again, we pointed out on the show, I try and keep this fair and balanced and unbiased, and it just seems like there is a massive bias on who gets canceled in America and who does not get canceled. Joe Biden, in any other world, would be canceled for some of the things he has said in the past. So Misha Cross, always great to have you on. Sebastian, both of you guys are just great on the show every week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.